Ah! Zhu Zhongba screamed as he flew backwards, sounding like a pig being slaughtered. Ah! Zhu Zhongba screamed as he flew backwards, sounding like a pig being slaughtered. He frantically retreated and took out a whip from inside his storage ring. Completely lacking in coordination and skill, he faced He while still disoriented. His stature was very nimble, so she certainly wasn't going to get an injury from the whip. However, from the top of the whip a dark and cold aura could be felt, rousing her interest. She dodged to the side, her action too fast to follow. Grabbing the whip, she faced the fat Zhu Zhongba as she firmly tugged several times on the whip. Zhu Zhongba screamed as the whip was tugged on repeatedly, scared witless, until finally his screaming voice became too hoarse to be heard. She saw Zhu Zhongba's sorry figure that was unceasingly rolling on the ground and sneered, "Indeed, this is a good whip. It's wasted being owned by you though." If her guess was right, it was made using a type of animal bone, clear white, tough yet soft. The barb on top of the whip could freely stretch. She really picked up a treasure. On the other side, Zhu Zhongba's miserable howling had finally attracted the guards from outside to come in. The first ones to arrive, sure enough, were those 4 Foundation establishment stage martial artist guards. The corner of his mouth raised. In her hands there were already well-prepared invisible needles. Suddenly they flew from her hands towards the guards like falling rain. Ah, my spiritual power! Why can't I use my spiritual power? You evil woman! What underhanded trick did you use on us again? The martial artists from the entire courtyard had gathered here, so the invisible needles had sealed not only the 4 Foundation establishment stage guards, but also the large party of Qi refining stage martial artists Danton, rendering them unable to use their spiritual power. After that, his hands slightly trembled, and a faint fragrance permeated the air. Still feeling indignant at the injustice of losing their spiritual power, the guards suddenly felt themselves weaken. Powerlessly, they collapsed to the ground. At this moment they couldn't resist. They didn't even have the ability to shout for help. She picked up the slave ownership card that had fallen to the ground and put it in her space. Then, lightly stepping forward, the corner of her mouth curved into a sinister and secretive smile. Zhu Zhongba's fat face looked like a pig head, swollen with purple bruises and crisscrossed with red whip marks. His eyes were extremely frightened. "Young lady, brave woman, great aunt, I was wrong. Please don't kill me." She squatted down and lightly patted the tragic side of Zhu Zhongba's fat pig face. "I had said you were a dead fat pig, so if you had paid attention, why would you still not behave? This great aunt's small advantage just because you want it, you think you can have it. I wouldn't dare, woo. I wouldn't dare anymore." She who felt disgusted just looking at the weeping form of Zhu Zhongba dripping mucus and tears sneered, "Unfortunately, it's too late. You've been provoking this great aunt, and want to escape unscathed just like that. Dream on." She, sick of the weeping Zhu Zhongba, kicked him until he fainted, then proceeded to drag over those 4 guards that seemed like dead pigs. "Didn't you say you wanted me to taste the experience of wanting to die but being unable to?" The arrogance in the little girl's smile filled with demonic laughter. Her cold eyes flashed a ruthlessness making them terrified. Do you know who are we?" Among them one guard that appeared fierce but was actually cowardly at heart spoke. "We are people from Jinling Kingdom's richest Zhu family. If you touch young Master Zhu and us, you will stand as Zhu family's enemy. You're not too difficult to deal with. You're merely an ordinary person. If we had detected it a moment ago, we wouldn't have been trapped by your evil trick. Zhu family has countless martial artists. At that time, a tiny individual with no power like you wouldn't be able to step on us as you wish. You should just let us go. If not, you will have to face with the rest of us." The 4 guard words were filled with threats and implications of despising an ordinary person like herself. She laughed angrily. This group of incompetent slags, apart from relying on their martial artist identities to bully others, what else can they do? Her quiet voice that reached their ears was bitingly cold, like a whisper from hell. "Rest assured, I will not kill you." Having heard what she said made the 4 guards relax. They looked at his eyes with extreme disdain. "Humph, you know your worth. It's good that you know you don't have the qualifications to against the Zhu family. Release us immediately. Perhaps our master and his family will let you off." She ignored them and continued with what she had been about to say. Killing all of you is simply too cheap for you. Since you look down upon ordinary people so much in your lifetime, you should properly experience feeling like an ordinary person. Finished speaking, the invisible needles in her hands suddenly flew. This time the invisible needles did not shoot towards the acupuncture point to seal their danton. Rather it was towards their central danton sea of qi. Their ears seemed to hear a soft kai sound. The next moment intense spiritual energy flashed throughout the air. Mournful sounds were suddenly heard, like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. The screams resonated through the sky. The bodies of the 4 guards suddenly felt as though they had been broken. Their spiritual power was unable to be stored anymore. Throughout the 4 limbs of their body and bones, every inch of their meridians and flesh no longer carried any spiritual power. In the blink of an eye, they could no longer feel the pulse of their danton. They couldn't even feel any activity in their spiritual energy. And so their complexions, the speed completely visible to the naked eye, rapidly aged. Just a few short breaths and they changed from their 30s, in the prime of life, into 50 to 60-year-old men. Having their danton broken caused the spiritual energy to dissipate. Their cultivation base disappeared in a flash. A person's danton was hidden in the body. Their spiritual power was like a shelter for it. Being able to destroy a person's danton, for that to happen is very near impossible. However, with she relying on her formidable needle technique and her understanding of the human body structure, she can easily accomplish it. From now until forever, these 4 guards would no longer be able to cultivate, unable to advance their cultivation stage. They will become the most despised, an ordinary person, a group of incompetent old men. On the side there were guards with cultivation bases at the chi refining stage, watching and scared, as quiet as a cicada in winter, their entire bodies trembling. She glanced at them and faintly said, with a debt of gratitude, I have always used kindness to repay kindness, but enemies will be repaid with revenge. They messed with me, so this is their fate. You and I do not to have grievances or any hatred. Naturally, I will not make a move on all of you. When this was heard, everyone immediately exhaled a long breath. Their heart relaxed. The next minute each and every one of them began to close their eyes and pretend to sleep. Even when she started dragging out Zhu Zhongba and those 4 guards, they also pretended not to see anything. This must be a joke. If the master of the Zhu family were to punish them, that is a small matter. If they provoked this great ant, they would end up with a crippled cultivation base. Then in this lifetime they can consider to be finished. Therefore, young Master Zhu, you have no other choice than to seek good fortune for yourself. At this time, the young Master Zhu, that was being pitied by everyone, looked like a dead pig, as he was dragged to the courtyard of Welcoming Hall. When she tied him to a pillar, the swollen pig-headed face of young Master Zhu slowly started to awaken. What are you doing? Zhu Zhongba's eyes opened wide. His entire body was in pain, like someone had separated his muscles from the bones. But he was unable to do anything because suddenly, before his eyes, this demonic smile once again appeared on her face. This type of psychological attack caused his mind to shut down, breaking his spirit. Not waiting for Zhu Zhongba to speak, she took out 3 invisible needles. With a flick of her hand, she threw them at Zhu Zhongba's body. Zhu Zhongba could feel the meridians in his body become sluggish. His danton felt like it was sealed. No longer was he able to use spiritual power. Of course, this kind of sealing the meridians and danton was different to becoming permanently crippled. It was merely causing the cultivation base to be sealed for a short time. This time she had used 3 invisible needles, so that the Zhu Zhongba that had a cultivation base on the chi refining stage, for a short time he couldn't do spiritual power internally.